Let's roll.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you both for joining us today. For those of you that are watching, we are recreating our partner panel from our Partner Summit in 2024 at Pandemonium that we have each year. So very happy to have Trevor and Donovan join us today, and excited to really discuss the details of why they chose to become a Pendo partner, why the Pendo OEM program, and how they're leveraging this program in their business to create really positive business outcomes through what they're working on. So before we get started and dive into our Q&A, I would love to do some intros. So Trevor, if you don't mind kicking us off.
Sure thing. So hello, everyone. Trevor Bunker. I am the Chief Customer Officer at Applied Systems. So Applied Systems, we're almost $1 billion business. We are a Google-owned and H&F company, and we make software for independent insurance brokers. So we make the ERP type software that these independent agencies need every day to walk to the front of the store to flip that sign from closed to open. So we do everything that you would do around the life cycle of an insurance policy, from getting quotes, getting ratings, collecting payments, issuing ID cards, all the way through doing renewals. So really excited to partner with Pendo. Just some incredible opportunities that we've been able to unlock.
And I guess I'll jump in, Madyson. I'm Donovan Lytle. I'm Senior Director of Business Development for the Partnerships team at Anthology. And very much like what Trevor just went through, we are a large enterprise software company. We serve primarily higher education. We're a global company. We're near $1 billion, so very much the same size as Trevor's company. And we help with all of the software needs that run a university's business. So we have scope from CRM, ERP, through student information systems, which are very bespoke, designed for higher ed institutions. And then, of course, the teaching and learning system and the satellite of applications that work for the university and help them recruit students, onboard students, teach students, matriculate students, and then track their alumni, even through to donations when alumni have entered the workforce. Our experience with Pendo has been absolutely stellar. We're growing with Pendo as both a customer and as an OEM supplier to our user base. And we couldn't be happier currently with our relationship with Pendo. So I'm anxious to dive in today and talk some more about that.
Great, thank you both. And my name is Madyson Malek. I'm a Senior Partner Manager for OEM and ISV partnerships here at Pendo, and I have the pleasure to work both with Applied and Anthology and on their partner programs. So thank you both. And I think we can dive in a little bit of information for those of you that might be new or newer to the OEM program at Pendo. In short, the Pendo OEM program allows you to white label and resell a version or a light version of Pendo to your end customers, really putting the power of their own user and customer analytics into their hands, as well as reaching them in-app as they know where their customers spend time or don't spend time probably the best. So they're best equipped to speak to their own users, members, customers, employees. So that's really a quick overview of the OEM Partner Program here at Pendo. But to dive in, I guess we'll start with the first question. Really, what was that factor, that catalyst for both Applied Systems and Anthology that led to partnering with Pendo? Maybe Trevor, we can start with you. I know you have a very interesting CX or customer-centric view on what that catalyst was. So we'll start with you.
For sure. Thanks, Madyson. And I think like a lot of people, we've been a reasonably long time, very happy Pendo user. And like a lot of companies, we started with Pendo in product management and engineering. So we used Pendo internally to look at our applications and see how we were supporting our customers. And along the way, we recognized from a customer experience perspective, there was such an opportunity for us to tackle adoption. Right. And adoption, being in a subscription business, we are constantly trying to combat churn. So driving up adoption is like the number one thing we can do in customer success. So we had a great opportunity to extend Pendo out, leveraging things like guides, more interactive tutorials, doing a lot of user observation from a customer experience, not just from a product management. So we started down the guide path and we started introducing tours and walkthroughs of the products and had a lot of success in our small and medium business. But we ended up having this really odd reaction in our large enterprise. Our large enterprise customers reached out quickly and said, shut that stuff off. They're like, you're actually guiding customer, like our users in a different way than how we use the product. If there was a way to tailor those experiences, we'd be really interested. So that's what actually triggered us to explore the OEM opportunity. And thanks to the partnership with Pendo, we uncovered a way that we could actually sell the Pendo capabilities to our customers and allow them to curate their own experiences. And I'll tell you, as soon as they saw what they could get, the observability, they could actually get the analytics, the insights into how they're using that product, it's been absolutely incredible. And just so far, we've had a couple of big wins in our partnership, which is only about 4 or 5 months old, but we are just building so much incredible pipeline. It has just been fantastic.
That's great. Thanks, Trevor. Yeah, so really that churn focus, like reduce that risk. Thank you. Donovan, what about you?
Well, we came to Pendo kind of from left field a little bit, right? We have grown primarily through acquisition over the last 20 years or so, and had a large flagship product, and then a lot of other, like I mentioned earlier, satellite products, each of which had, dabbled in digital adoption solutions. But our flagship product really faced kind of a watershed moment when we were moving from an on-prem and private cloud kind of company over to a SaaS company. And we needed to get our user base into this new SaaS-based product. And higher education is really change averse. They don't want to move too quickly. And so digital adoption solutions were really important to us. And we adopted one about 6 years ago that was really bespoke for higher education. It spoke to all of their needs. And we had a competitor who came in and acquired that company. So acquired the partner, and it put us in a really strategically difficult position. We still had to transition a bunch of clients from our legacy systems over to SaaS. Our clients really liked the digital adoption solution. It gave them, kind of to Trevor's point, a lot of control over the user experience. It helped them speak directly to their users, guide them through the coursework that they needed to complete. But we just couldn't allow this competitor to have that intimate of a relationship with our user base. So we did a market scan, and pretty quickly Pendo kind of rose to the top. Pendo as a product-led, kind of product analytics solution. And what really pleased us was that there was also this user-focused analytics solution that the user could control. And so right away, it appeared that Pendo was going to be the winner in that kind of market scan. And so we reached out and started working with Pendo, and adopted and renamed Pendo to Pendo Adopt, pushed it out to all of our client base and started selling it right away. And we had to go to our renewal base and switch, from one product to Pendo Adopt. And we also had to continue with our new business. And we've been doing this for 2 years now, and have just really lit our market on fire. Pendo is so incredibly flexible. It's covered all of the use cases that bespoke solution covered, and our user base couldn't be happier with the power of the tool and what they get from Pendo. It's not been without its adoption issues and troubles and challenges, and we'll go into those in a minute. But we've been really pleased. So we started for the first 2 years as an OEM partner, and went to market without the analytics solution on our main platforms.
Yeah, thanks, Donovan. Yeah, you guys kind of went at it a different approach. It's great to hear both of your perspectives on that. And maybe Donovan, we can start with you. When you think about choosing to go into a partnership, especially an OEM partnership where you are assuming, the go-to-market side and the marketing side and to some extent even support as well, whether that's just general white glove support, how did you go about getting organizational alignment and cross-functional alignment to agree to go into a partnership? It's very different, right, than a direct motion where there's a customer and there's a vendor, and you often need procurement and CFO approval. It's just different, and it's much more cross-functional in partnerships. So how did you go about getting that alignment, Donovan?
Partnerships, the way we're structured, we're a product-led company. So I think that is right in Pendo's strike zone, right? So product carries a lot of weight in our company. And we, as a partnerships team, are closely aligned with the product team. We have regular cross-functional meetings with them. We have an ecosystem of more than 500 partners that we manage, our team manages for our flagship product. So what that means is we have already the motion built in where we're bringing new companies into our partnership program. Product is supporting those partnerships, and in many times some of the M&A activity that we execute on starts with partnerships, right? So it's kind of built into the fabric of our company, but there was a real big effort, and it took time. It took us almost a year, I think, to work through the various stakeholders, from the chief product officer down through all of the different product managers, and then back up to the CEO suite to actually make that decision. I think part of I have to say also, there was a little bit of fire driving our solution too. We had 65 clients that relied on a digital adoption solution, and we didn't have anything to replace that with. And it represented a large revenue number for us too. So we were really driven by, the product need and this kind of market hole that was going to be left if we didn't replace that revenue and serve those customers.
Well, I would echo definitely a lot of the sentiment you shared there, Don. When I think about, two big key learnings from, embarking on this journey, two things come to mind. First, choosing and picking who you want to partner, I think is really important. I think all of us suffer the same thing. I mean, my inbox fills up, my LinkedIn fills up with all these tiny little companies. Look at this great widget I have. I'm doing digital adoption, partner with us. And the idea of partnering with somebody, like partnerships are long-term. We're going to embed this technology in our solution, and we are going to bring it to thousands of our customers. Like, I think of that old adage, you get judged by the company you keep. This is our brand, our reputation. And candidly, we've been burned in the past of partnering with some companies that all of a sudden don't invest, go out of business. Now I have to unwind these components. I mean, Donovan, this was exactly your trigger, right? Like, you had an embedded component acquired by a competitor, right? So no one wants to go through that unraveling. So we put a lot of diligence in just who are we going to partner with? And I'll tell you, surprisingly, some of the household names in this category that have been around for a long time, pretty big players, we were shocked by the lack of underinvestment. I'm not going to name names, but there were some that I looked at and I'm like, you were doing that 10 years ago when I saw you. Like, what's new? And what really triggered us about Pendo was that commitment to innovation, being product-led, the amount of R&D, like just that really active roadmap that Pendo had. That was really important, because if we're going to hitch our wagon to somebody, we got to know that you're going to invest, stay current, be there when we need you. So we spent a lot of time figuring out who do we really want to develop a long-term relationship with, especially if we're going to put you into our customer experience. The second part is, partnerships, I don't want to say are foreign, but we hadn't done that many, right? We had a pretty captive approach to our customer base. We had definitely a philosophy of trying to be the entire life cycle for our customers. So it took a little bit of convincing to bring some of our other senior leaders around to OEMing or embedding another product, especially having been burned on a couple. And I think the path to success was hitching my peer, our chief revenue officer. When I showed him the economics of the model, showed him how I could help his team retire quota, he could actually issue quota out against this new offering. When he looked at the economics, and it was a twofer. One, we were giving his team something new to sell to our existing base, and it was something that was going to drive up adoption and combat churn. So like this was a 2-for-1, something new to sell that delivers value back to the customer and to us to combat attrition. So really getting our CRO on board with this really helped grease the skids when we went to product, we went to the CFO, we did the pricing and the packaging. Because he said, look, I'm excited to sell this into the base. And he committed to taking incremental quota. And I'll tell you, if you can get a salesperson to take on more quota, you know you've got something gold here. So, that would definitely be the two big lessons. Partner with the right people because it's a long-term relationship, and make sure that you approach it from a sales orientation and how this is going to drive incremental revenue. That's how I think we were successful.
Great. I love that insight. And it's great to hear both of you in your respective organizations have more of a product approach versus a revenue and sales approach. I think it's both sides of that coin. So appreciate that insight. I'm curious, and this question to either of you, to what extent today do you have your Pendo OEM program products tied to either organizational goals, whether that's KPIs, measured business objectives and outcomes? How do you go about saying we want to take this solution and tie it to our KPIs and our OKRs?
I'll go first. It's an intimate part of our go-to-market and our sales organization. To Trevor's point, retires quota against the sale. I think we're in a kind of unique position because our market is familiar with digital adoption products and understand their value. So it's not a particularly hard sell, especially as we're ramping up and introducing more and more products to the market. Our user base understands the value of Pendo Adopt, and it's been pretty straightforward for our sales organization to grab it, put it in their bag, and go to market with it. And understand that it's a big ask for us. If you disaggregate our product stacks, we have more than 50 products that we could potentially sell to any particular institution. And that can be super overwhelming for especially new salespeople or any salesperson, honestly. And the sales cycles in higher education are really long, and those opportunities don't come up very much. Because they're long and those opportunities don't come up very much, having something that's very easy to sell, that has great value, that connects directly to within the product experience and connects directly to the value proposition of what, purchasing a large learning management system, you want to, as an institution, you want to get as many users onto that system with as least amount of friction as possible and extracting as much value from that system as you can, as quickly as you can. So the additive value of Pendo Adopt is really, really high. And our sales org loves having it in the bag because it's an easy thing for them to kind of come back in that year 2 or year 3 multi-year agreement and say, hey, we haven't talked about your digital adoption strategy. Let me help you with Pendo Adopt Anthology Adopt, and this is additional revenue that they can go after and retire quota against year over year. So our sales organization really, really likes it. And I didn't say earlier, and Trevor, you were getting at this a little bit, but one of the kind of, difficult to quantify factors in this appeal to stakeholders to do something different, right? To bring on a new product. We all can predict numbers, and we all, can show, what the revenue impact will be, what the uplift will be. But it's hard to really quantify the organization that you're partnering with and the kind of, human factor in that organization. And I I can't articulate it other than say, when we did this market scan, I think we went through 12 different digital adoption companies, and just interact with the Pendo team gave me so much confidence. This is what I do, right? I partner with other companies. Just that interaction with the Pendo team made us feel very comfortable moving this ask forward all the way up to the C-suite, and really putting our own kind of like recommendations on the line. I knew that just by the level of interaction, the way you all are organized around with a partner, to support partners, I realized that this was a company that I could stand behind and kind of take to home plate and see if we could get it across. I'm mixing metaphors. Take it to home plate and get it across the finish line. It's a horrible metaphor, but I think you understand what I mean. It was really you guys really stood behind us and made that process easier.
That is high praise, and I would echo everything Donovan said. Relationship has been fantastic, as we said. Choosing who you're going to partnership and who you're going to partner with is a reflection on both parties, right? To your question, Madyson, I get really excited because, we go through a process every year of doing, a thematic goal for the year and then set some defining objectives for the company. And what Pendo's allowed us to do is actually weave a steel thread across the entire company underpinning our defining objectives. So our goal is all about adoption. Because if you go all the way back to how do we sell to our customers, we sell on productivity. We sell on efficiency. We sell to companies to make their team members more efficient. We measure things like revenue generated per employee, productivity per employee, output per employee. So Pendo's actually allowed us to unlock how do we quantify that for our customers from the sale all the way back. But it's contingent on using the product. So we've actually been able to weave in from the message and the value that sales sells to how we onboard and implement to how we deliver in customer success, all unlocked by Pendo. So we now have the metrics, the visibility, and we have full alignment. Sales is out selling. How do you ramp up new colleagues and new team members faster? How can you drive competitiveness in your business? And we unlock that with the guides, with the training, with the interaction, how we put up the guardrails and take customers through their onboarding. And it's all woven into the same value prop. So that's what's been super exciting is we have full alignment across the company. Every team is incented and aligned to drive the same outcome. And it was Pendo that helped us connect that. So super, super exciting.
Yeah, it's like the all the way from pre-sale, post-sale through the customer life cycle, right? It doesn't just stop with onboarding. The applications and the use cases that your customers can leverage your versions of Pendo for stem all the way through. We have a new product that applied or a feature that applied our Anthology or shipping, and we're not seeing great adoption. So how do we drive our students or our agents to leverage that? And again, to your point, I think you're mentioning this, Trevor, be more efficient in what you're doing.
You see what they're doing. Like we're learning much from the customers that we've enabled with this. I never even thought of this, but like so many of them are fascinated by like message of the day. Sort of like, almost like that daily huddle. And we're all working in these big virtual environments. So we're seeing a lot of our end users do like kind of a message of the day. What's the theme for the day? What are we promoting? What are we pushing? Oh, heads up awareness, because they found that like our users work in our application all day. They come to work, they put their headset on, they snap in and they bang away. They don't go through reading all this email. So their leadership is like, hey, let me send the most important things that I need the team to know each day. And it's amazing. And they're like reporting on who looked at it, who acknowledged it, who clicked through it. Like never even dreamed that communication was going to be such an important use case, but we're getting tremendous feedback around it as another way to help drive adoption. So you can learn a lot by watching your customers and learning.
Yeah. But what a cool use case of just using it as like, message of the day. It's interesting. I feel like our partners and customers do a really great job of thinking how to leverage the solution for things and messaging outside of product related items. Like I know Donovan, we've seen some institutions leverage it as like check-ins with the student base and just like, how are you feeling? And just getting a good like student mentality check and to push out just campus-wide communications. And again, they're doing a really great job of thinking outside of the anthology or the applied purview, but really in their own business. So that's really
who would have thought, that a digital adoption solution would have such a large function as a communication device directly to end users, right? And it makes a lot of sense. And our, institutions are really struggling with cutting through the noise that surrounds all the student communication channels, right? Email's dead probably to students. Social media, maybe, but that's all cluttered. How do you directly message students? And a lot of institutions have started turning toward texting, but I think that will kill. Like all the messaging has, or all the junk mail has killed email for many people. I think texting is a close second to that now. But with students kind of coming into the university branded learning management system that they have to log into every day and check their grades and work on their assignments, for the university to be able to, put up a message of the day or alert students to something that they need to pay attention to is really highly valuable, and it's incredibly effective, to your point, Madyson. So it's, as a messaging tool, it's invaluable.
We're going to shift gears a little bit. What is one, lesson learned for both of you? If you could think back through your journey. So Trevor, for you all through maybe the launch process. Donovan, I know we've partnered together for a couple of years now, so you've got a little bit more tenure and runway under your belt. What's one thing you would have done differently, or you wish you would have done differently?
So again, remember, we approached this from a tool that we wanted to distribute to, we're replacing a digital adoption tool that we sold directly to institutions. And that's kind of the lens that we looked at through, our relationship with Pendo. That was the tip of the spear in terms of evaluating the relationship with Pendo. Of course, in the background, we were getting product very involved, and they were very interested in the larger Pendo ecosystem and what they could do with it from a product analytics perspective. So we kind of backed into this relationship thinking that we could manage it in the same way that we managed our prior resale agreement. And it wasn't true. We needed a product manager. We needed intimate product representation on the products team that had day-to-day responsibility for Pendo. And that was our misstep, and we struggled for, maybe 4 or 5 months, kind of trying to figure out what was going wrong and realizing that we really needed that product representation. So we hired a position. He has other responsibilities, but we hired a position who was really intimately aware of our flagship product, Blackboard. And once he kind of assumed those reins and the operational control of Pendo Adopt or Anthology Adopt, things went very smoothly from there. So the misstep for us was thinking that partnerships could oversee that resale relationship, and it doesn't work that way. So.
Yeah, I would say from our perspective, we had an incredible collaboration with the Pendo team as we were developing this offering, getting ready for launch. Huge shout out to the solution consulting and the technical teams at Pendo who helped us lead our first pilot with our first customer and prospect, which was fantastic. Helped us shepherd through building our first demo, helping develop some of the collateral. So really, really great partnership. And it wasn't just in the build, but it was actually, you helped us through the launch process, which was great. Couple of lessons learned, I would say, is you can never be prepared enough in terms of a content and a collateral. As we started rolling it out, sales immediately was like, where's our case study? Where's our testimonial? I need the data sheet. And we're like, oh, we're working on that. So we certainly could have been a little bit more prepared with some of the collateral to help arm sales. And working with Pendo, we got a lot of great insight in the design phase as to how to quantify the value. I forget the name of it, Madyson, but you got that awesome, like, I call them the ROI team, but the ones that actually build the calculators of like, how would we quantify this? So we had a lot of really good insight. It took us a little bit longer to kind of institutionalize that and put that in the hands of our salespeople, right? Our salespeople are pretty simple. They're like, I need my Excel calculator. I need to be able to punch the numbers in from the customer so I can spit out what the payback would be or what the economic value would be. So we went out of the chute. We had a lot of that data. We just hadn't quite packaged it for sales initially. So that was some lesson learned. And then the other one was we like candidly weren't prepared for just the immediate uptick in demand. We started with a small core team, and like anything, it kind of went viral. And it was a real testament to the value because our sales teams just went crazy. They're like, "Oh, we just heard about this awesome demo. Can you come in and demo with this customer?" So we actually had to start triaging some of the demand because we hadn't built a lot of like, here's a recorded demo, here's a self-service. We had a small core team right out of the chute. So in hindsight, we might have rolled it out with smaller segments of customers first, or maybe invested in a little bit more of that. Here's a recorded demo you could start with. Here's some pre-packaged enablement. We were very reliant on people. These are all first world problems to have, right? these are not terrible things, but definitely things that I would coach other people to focus on.
Yeah, all great
and
call
to build
outs.
on that, just real quickly, a little bit for new folks coming into the program, having a content library that is targeted to your customers. It gives them something to start with, guides that are already pre-built. If you're shipping a product that doesn't have that level of customization in it, it's hard to get that uptake, I think. So they need to see the value of the product right away in guides that are built, for your application. Maybe that goes without saying. I know that we knew that going in, but we struggled with resourcing that internally. Like, who's going to build those guides? Who's going to come up to speed? How do we translate them into all the different languages that they need to be translated into? So those were onboarding issues that we had early on.
Yeah, you both are what we would consider a best practice in that you try to make sure that your new customers to the solution have guides that are in there, pre-built, so that they can all leverage something and just really, speed up time to value. Because it can be a little daunting, right? When you're first logging into a solution, especially, Trevor, for your industry, Donovan, they're familiar with digital adoption products and in-app guides, but it might be different for different industries. And so they don't know what they don't know. So providing them with something to get started is a great call out. And very good call outs too on the lessons learned. I think you both provided separate lessons for organizations that are moving really fast and organizations that are doing their due diligence, doing some research, thinking, oh, maybe we should get, someone in seat that has a product lens to like basically have a product manager over our solution. So that was great. Last questions before we leave today. Just what's next in your respective journeys with your Pendo partnership solutions, but also what's next for Applied? What's next for Anthology?
With Anthology, we are in a pilot right now to expand to our next largest customer or our next largest solution base. It's the student information system. And, I'll open the kimono a little bit. It's been really exciting having Pendo enabled in a pilot phase with our student information system. And the reason is, for us, we never could pinpoint. We could never pinpoint how many monthly average users we actually had, right? We had all these different proxies, and the student information system is an amalgam of about 5 different products, and they all work together, and those data points were just scattered, and so we were basically guessing at how many monthly average users we had. So for the very first time in this pilot, we've been able to turn on Pendo and see actually what the monthly average use is, which is huge for our market and really for our further product development. So what's next for us? I expect, although I don't own the budget, I expect that we'll be licensing Pendo for our next largest flagship product, and that, if that all goes well, we'll start to see some use cases that extend to some of the smaller products as well. But we're looking at expanding, candidly. So that's where we're at. The timeline is probably we're ending our fiscal year soon. It'll be a next fiscal year kind of decision.
Yeah, we're working in a couple of vectors. So our early success has been with our largest customers, and our hypothesis was we think a digital adoption solution will land best into a large agency that has their own learning and development teams. So we approach it like you want to have teams that are familiar with learning content, have worked with an LMS in the past, would just have that propensity and those skills to build it out. We've also learned that offering managed services is a real winner. So now when we actually sell it, we now require a minimum 2 days a week for 6 months managed service contract. So we offer our managed services 2, 3, or 4 days per week, minimum 6 months on initial purchase, and then they can renew in 3-month increments. Simply because the first customers that we landed, they're like, great, we have a big training team, they can build all this. Turns out they really can't, or they need some help along the way because they're really good and they're already busy at training. So they didn't necessarily have the content creation skills. So we're going to continue scaling that out. We're going to look at new ways to offer additional services and extend Pendo to more parts of the portfolio. The other piece that we're equally, if not more excited about is we're trying to figure out how to package it and bring it down market. So we have a lot more, by an order of magnitude, hundreds and thousands of more customers in our middle market and small market than we do our large, right? I think it's true for everyone. So how do we package it down? So we're looking at how do we package more embedded content? How do we potentially get away from like the 2 days a week full-time person to more of like a resource center, or like an on-demand help model where they could reach out to a call center if they need help. We're looking at different ways that we can really balance that, give them enough out-of-box experience that they can get going and they see value in it, but also get them the level of help without necessarily paying that premium price tag that comes with services or managed services. So that's something that we're challenging the team right now to really look at. How can we package it down? Certainly, shameless plug to the Pendo team. Anything you can do to continue helping us with the content life cycle, the publication capabilities, we are super excited about, and really thrilled to hear that there's some more innovation happening around Resource Center. That has been one of our biggest landing, was the ability to do the menuing in the product. So yeah, really excited to see what more opportunities we can uncover.
Amazing. We've got application expansion, down market expansion. That's exciting stuff. It's going to be an exciting, 12 months working with you all. So, well, I know we're at time, so thank you both so much for joining us today, and I hope everyone has a great rest of your day.
Wonderful. Thank you,
Trevor, thank you.